So how are you whittling them down? How are you choosing?
Let's talk about this on the podcast. Don't you think? Seems silly to talk about this gold mine of insight when we're not recording.
I am recording.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I'm recording already, so this can just be my opener. Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Keeping on Track. I'm Adam Heath.
And he's Bradley Williams.
There you go. Just making sure you were listening.
There you go. That was a curveball.
There you go.
I panicked into what to do. I didn't know if I should say I was Bradley Williams. I went with a kind of... Who used to do that? Was it the two Ronnies?
It was two Ronnies, yeah, or Morecambe and Wise, one of them, wasn't it?
Morecambe was, yeah. So I feel like I've messed up with it. I should have said I'm Brad Williams. What I should have said.
No, it's good. I like what you did. No, I liked it. It was organic and it worked. It was good. I just wanted to make sure you were listening. That was all. So
why do you not think I'll be listening? Do you think I'd treat this podcast with disdain or something?
More like a sort of like I think you neg it. You neg it, so you treat it with a lack of interest in the hope that it will love you more.
What? I mean, I've been here for 10 episodes.
That's true. That's true.
Hours of conversation. How can you say I don't give it respect?
No, you respect it. You just pretend you don't love it as much as you actually do because you want it to kind of come after you and vie for your attention. But it loves you back.
Hard to get.
It loves you back, this podcast. It really does. Okay. So how you been?
Good. I'm confused. Did we do this last week? Did we miss a week?
We didn't. We missed a week. We missed a week. Last week was just manic, and neither of us had the time to do it. So we did miss a week. I don't know if that will mean we'll maybe go one episode less, or it just means we'll just go for an extra week. But I know that we were planning originally on doing 12 episodes for the first season. So yeah.
This is the classic. One of the many reasons I love you. This is classic Brad Williams BS, where he pretends there was a plan to do a season of 12 episodes. There was never a plan. That was a decision made a couple of weeks ago in private.
On the fly?
Not on the. I prefer us to make those decisions live when we're recording, so that people can feel part of the process. But that is a decision that we've made. We like some of our favourite watching experiences. We decided let's make it a series. Let's do a season. Let's wrap it in a little bubble and call that season 1. So that's official, is it now? We can announce that, can we? It's
we
12 episodes.
We can, yeah. So we've got 2 more episodes after this. One of the things I'm thinking of doing, actually, I know I've already mentioned this to you, but one of the things I'm thinking we could do for episode 12 would be we could get people to submit to us on Twitter or wherever a film that they feel has had any impact on their life or the way that they live or their outlook. So we'd be quite interested to hear, like, did Titanic make you pay more heed to health and safety at work? Did Silence of the Lambs turn you into a vegan? Did Jaws teach you the dangers of hubris? I don't know what was or maybe it's something less exciting than that, but we'd be quite interested to hear that, so we can read some of those out on the podcast, and if no one sends us any, we'll just make some up, right?
I mean, I think you should start preparing for that right away, because I'm not convinced. Even Kirill, our most ardent fan, I'm not sure he's still listening at 10 episodes in, but maybe.
Even Kirill's done.
It's really sad, isn't it? But I quite enjoy. Enjoy might be the wrong word. I have listened back to most of our episodes. I'm kind of intrigued to hear what we talked about, how it came out. And that's why I was thrown last week. I'm like, did I listen? I can't remember. My whole week has been upside down. Did we record it? I remember listening to it. So your most ardent listener was probably me. I was the first one listening each week, and even I didn't tune in. So yeah, you might be asking something people to tweet us. But there you go. Let's set it up as good versus evil. You're the optimist, I'm the pessimist. I'm saying no one's listening. You're saying they are, and they will tweet us. So
if you're listening, let us know. Reply, respond, tweet us, do whatever you can to let us know that you're out there. I feel like this is almost like we're playing Ouija board with podcasts. Podcast Ouija, that's what this is. We're going to put a glass on a board and see what message is spelled out.
I would never Ouija board with you because I already know you'd be moving the glass. There's no way you could just let it be.
Adam,
You have to mess around people.
The ghost of Rasputin is talking to us.
I'm still convinced that book that I got sent in the post a few weeks ago, I'm still convinced it was you that sent it.
I genuinely wasn't. Tell our listeners, i.e. yourself and Kirill, this story about the book, because it's quite interesting.
Well, I mean, I realise I've just said that I got sent a book. I actually didn't. I've already misquoted this story because it wasn't addressed to me whatsoever. But it was addressed to someone with a similar name at my address, and there isn't anyone here of that name. And it's a little book. It's a little kind of, I don't know, A6 probably, tiny little book, little sort of 30-page short story called Paranoia in the Laundrette. And it's designed to look like the front of a washing machine, and on the back it's got all the use instructions for a washing machine. And whoever's ordered, if they've ordered it from Amazon or something, I mean, for one, it's a second-hand book. This isn't a new book. It's definitely second-hand. It's old. Whoever's ordered it has ordered it to the wrong address, which doesn't seem likely. So if someone wanted this, they would know where they lived and where it should be going. And it just felt like a very you thing to do. I opened up the book just out of interest. And the front page, line 1, I'd been carrying a carving knife around with me 3 weeks due to an irrational fear of being murdered. I couldn't sleep at night. And I thought, someone's trying to tell me something. This is a Brad Williams special. I've read this book cover to cover in the hope of somewhere's a little scribbling where you've left me a note that you're winding me up. So.
A little trick in there. But it's written by, is it Bruce Robinson? Is that it's written by? Yeah.
How do you know that? You're just confirming.
I remember you told me because you said it was by the guy who wrote With Now and I, and I know that Bruce Robinson wrote that. So, but it's a real book. I mean, I looked it up. It is a real book.
Let me read you a bit more.
Go on.
As soon as I got into bed, I started seeing killers, usually a nose or a toe cap of a killer's boot disappearing around the bedroom door. These killers were always on the move. I became particularly frightened of a man I called the Beetle. He wore a black coat, a top hat, and appeared the instant I shut my eyes. What is this book, and why has it come to me? I can hear you giggling away. You love it, don't you?
I mean, this is brilliant. I love that just someone somewhere has just sent something to the wrong address, and is literally, this is called Paranoia in the Laundrette. You've become the most paranoid person about this book. That's hilarious.
But, no, my issue is if it arrived at my house and the postman had put it in the wrong address, or and there was the label on the front didn't match my address, I'd get it. It's addressed to my address. How has someone bought this and sent it not to themselves? They've sent it to the wrong place. It doesn't seem possible.
I reckon it's just something you've upset in the past. Someone somewhere with a very passive aggressive agenda has gone, right, I'll get Adam, Paranoia in the Laundrette, have that, send. £7 plus postage and packaging. That would teach him.
Last 2 pages, here we go. I'm not here to hurt anyone, I said. I'm a professional writer. Give me the knife and you can tell us all about it. Watch him, he's a madman. Give me the knife and don't give me no mumbo. I'm innocent, I said. You'll find out. It's not me. It's this bastard in North London. Well, you just come along quietly now, sir. They'll get you some help, said the beautiful girl. You don't understand. I set fire to myself before I came out. I don't normally look like this. The larger of the 2 constables took the weapon and both took hold of me at an elbow. They had the knife, I had the pants, and everything was still filthy. I was escorted out of the laundrette.
So just a regular Tuesday, really. So is the idea that, because obviously I haven't read any of Robinson's other work. I know he wrote The Killing Fields as well, but is the idea then that the protagonist of this story is suffering from some sort of paranoid delusions, or is this alcohol fueled, or what's the kind of?
Yeah, and insomnia, I guess. Not sleeping at night because he's convinced there's a murderer in his house going to get him. Right. So it's a pretty, I don't know. Yeah, it's a it's a little short story, I guess. I've never seen a short story published in quite physically, I guess. So just the whole completion of this little book, and like I said, the little design that makes it look like a washing machine. I kind of like it. But I do wish I understood why it came to me.
Strange, isn't it?
I don't like that you've now reminded or put in my head that I'm becoming paranoid about it, which is
the mystery.
Sort of the point of the book.
It's almost like a Twilight Zone episode. Like this it feels like this book's going to send you on a journey, like a spiral, and there's going to be this weird meta ending where you are in 6 months' time in a laundrette somewhere with a pair of pants and a knife in your hand and this book in your back pocket.
Here's the thing. So we've talked, a decent amount, rightly so, because that's what the podcast is about. But we've talked about business and about the fact that, you've suggested in the early episodes you sort of doing animation and we design and we talk about art and theatre and all this kind of stuff. And that we're involved in interactive, but really at heart, and I think that's obvious to most people, we're filmmakers. We're film buffs, and we make videos. That's a huge part of what we do in our job. We've never really talked about, I guess, aspirations, if you like. Probably neither of us imagined we'd end up making the kind of content we're currently making. We're doing lots of really interesting corporate work. Lots of training, lots of documentary style stuff, but we probably both would love to be making narrative film. I think that's fair to say. And we're always talking about wanting. We've got plenty of experience, plenty of kit, plenty of personnel. We've got all the resource. For me, I'm always waiting for the right idea to go and make some interesting shorts, possibly a feature. And I'm just staring at this book on my desk now, saying, is that a little candidate there? That's a story waiting to be told, isn't it? On Jonathan Ross's chat show in 10 years' time, when we get an Oscar for a film we made, and we say a book arrived in the post one day and we turned it into a film. That would be amazing.
There you go. I'm not sure how rights work with that one. We might have to see if the rights are available, because I know that sometimes you can get rights to books for like next to nothing. So maybe we should see if the rights are available.
If we contacted Bruce Robinson and said that this book was posted to me by mistake, can I turn it into a film? I'm sure he'd be all over it.
Let's reach out to Bruce Robinson. That is it. That is our mission. We are going to reach out to Bruce Robinson and see if we can get a response from Bruce Robinson or his agent by this time next week.
Podcast, mate.
Right. That is our mission. That is our mission. We're going to do that.
When you told me about the idea of wrapping this into a season the other week, I sort of said, or at least I thought it, we need a cliffhanger, and we need to build towards something. At the end of a season, you've got to be building this. To me, this has come to us mid-season, this little book, and if we can finish the season with Bruce Robinson on the podcast, I'll be a happy man.
There you go. Let's do that. And I'm sure that will work out for us. Why wouldn't it?
I'm convinced that we'll better get the rights to it as well. It's a short story, I think novels tends to be the kind of stuff that gets commissioned and rights kind of assigned.
Yeah.
Although saying that, newspaper articles quite famously get, you purchase the rights to turn those into to films. So I guess there is a decent chance this would have been. But if we can get in touch with Bruce and if we can find out that this hasn't been licensed or the rights haven't been kind of bought by anyone, I've got to get it. It feels like it's meant to be. We're
going to chronicle what happens with this, and hopefully it ends well.
And then that's season 2 done, because season 2 will be about us making the short film.
The making of.
Going in the laundrette. There you go.
There we go. Cool.
Anyway, that was a real answer to you. You said to me, how am I doing? And I just went off on one. So
that was good. I'm glad about that. That was a nice little story. Filled up a nice chunk of time, which is lovely. That was good.
I haven't asked how you're doing. It's your Ravenous. How are you? How's your weekend?
My weekend's been alright. I watched last night. I watched The Wolfman, which is the old Lon Chaney Universal Monsters classic film, and was astounded that the movie clocks in at 1 hour 9. That includes titles and credits.
Wow! Whoa!
That's crazy, right? I can't remember the last time I saw a film that was less than 1 hour and 40. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, you'd struggle to get an hour and a half. You'd struggle to see something less than that. Maybe 80 minutes at a push. But
yeah,
60 something minutes is under. That's so bizarre that you've brought that up, actually, because it's fair to say, I think our listeners will forgive us for saying we have no plan today, or at least I don't.
Yeah.
Normally, you give a little nudge, little hint what we'll talk about. I suspect this week you don't even have a plan necessarily. We're gonna improvise. Oh, you do? Okay. Anyway, but out of the kind of musings and rambling so far, there's a bizarre little kind of theme emerging. One of the things I wrote down I was going to talk to you about is that TV show you hooked me up with to watch.
Yeah.
Year of the Rabbit. Little 6-part short series, which I loved. I knew we'd talk about the fact we're going to turn this into a 12-episode series or season. We just talked about this short story, little 40-page short story. It's a little short film. There's a bizarre kind of theme emerging here about kind of short-form content, short-form storytelling. So how weird that you then pop up and say, I just watched probably one of the shortest features you'll have seen in your life.
Pretty much.
Almost doesn't even qualify as a feature film.
No.
It's sort of somewhere between a short story and a feature.
I think, I can't remember the exact time, but I think a movie has to be longer than 50 minutes for it to qualify as feature length. I think that's the Academy rule. Yeah, I think that's the Academy rules. It might be a bit longer. So it's a good film. It's a great film. I love all the old monster movies, but I'd never seen The Wolfman before. I'd seen bits of it, but so it was cool to watch that. So I did that, and then I watched another film last week that I'm going to talk to you about today. But one of the things that I did want to talk about, because I do think it's funny, is I know it's coming out of left field considering all the things we talked about so far, but is your current drive to sell off all of your unwanted films, i.e. basically every film that you own, you're selling off because you've never watched any of them. And I just thought this was an interesting thing. So how many films are you currently selling, Adam?
I've got about 20 films on eBay active as you know, Blu-rays, DVDs that are selling. I've got looking at the end of the room, there's about 15 parcels that are all packaged up ready to go. So that's 35, 40 odd that have sold or are selling at the moment. And I've got a box over my shoulder, another 30 or 40 probably. I reckon I've sold 100 discs by the time I'm done.
But what I don't understand is that you've barely watched any of these films. So you've gone out, you've bought them with the intent to watch them, never watched them, let them sit there for years on end, and then decided to sell them.
So I don't know where this has come from, to be honest. It's something bizarre. I can't actually tell you when. In the last couple of days, it struck me about selling on eBay. That'll be interesting. I don't know why. I'm trying to place it. What triggered it in my brain? But once I got that bug, I was like, this makes so much sense. My place is filled with junk. I think I'm just in a decluttering kind of mood.
Right, spring clean.
After this period of isolation and kind of lockdown, I feel like lots of things are changing, you know, personally, professionally for lots of people. I'm like, this is time to clear out my space. And I've got hundreds of Blu-rays and DVDs. And you're right, 70 or 80% of them are still in cellophane wrapping. They're still brand new as the day I bought them. But that probably actually encouraged me to sell them, because when I looked at it, I thought, this is brand new. I can put this on sale brand new, which makes a difference, and I'll make a few quid for it. I think I blame HMV for this, and this goes back to first meeting you probably, you know, because I had no interest in films as a 15, 16-year-old kid. The fact that I went and studied film at college is completely left field. I was going to do music. I was supposed to be studying music until a week before, and I just decided out of absolutely nowhere to do film.
The universe told you that something bigger was waiting for you.
I'd been playing piano since I was 4 years old. My parents got me lessons when I was really, really young, and I played guitar and trumpet. And like, music was the expected route. For no reason whatsoever, I had no interest in films. A week before college started, I just changed my mind and signed up to a different course. And met you, among others, and my life was changed forever, you know. And yeah, I remember, you know, HMV, places like that had no interest for me. Suddenly I was now frequenting and walking around HMV looking for bargains. And I've been addicted my entire life to 3 for 20 or 4 for 30 or
5 for 30. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, how can you go in, even if you're just having you're out shopping generally in a shopping centre and you see a HMV, how can you not go in and pick up 5 for 30? It'd be rude not to. So, and inevitably, like you said, I buy them with the best intentions. There's an Oscar-winning film there from last year. Sounds good. I'll buy that.
Yeah.
And then it never gets watched. It's just sat there collecting dust. And then I had a little look on eBay. I thought I can make 4 or 5 quid out of each of these. So let's get them gone.
Nice one. Well, in fairness, I mean, I'm not going to complain. I got a free copy of Dallas Buyers Club out of it, so I'm chuffed.
I deliberately didn't send you pictures of all the things I'm selling because I
you
gave
get
you that
bullied?
one. I said if you want it. Well, I thought before I know it, I'm going to give them all to you.
Well, I couldn't believe it, right? So I think the biggest shock for me was when you were like, "Oh, yeah, the Big Lebowski," and I'm thinking, "Oh, you know, I've got like I've bought various iterations of that. You know, recently got the 4K version, and you're like, I've never seen it, and it just blows my mind. I'm like, how have you never seen the Big Lebowski? That's insane. It's like I thought, you know, we've got a mutual friend, and we you know, and I know you've known him a lot longer than I have, but we obviously had a fun game once where we were sitting there and I could just pick a random film, the most well-known film, and he hasn't seen it. And I feel like you're only marginally above that sometimes. Like when we talk about films like The Big Lebowski, and like, I've never seen it. Or, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if I turned around to you one day and just said like Home Alone or something. You're like, yeah, never seen it. Don't know what it's about. Or I've got it and it's still shrink wrapped.
I mean, that's true actually. Of all the films I've never seen, I do own most of them. I just haven't watched them.
You're at least own them. At least owning them. So you're halfway there.
Should we have a quick side jaunt into what my current eBay sales active looks like? Do you want to know what's up there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right. Number 1, 6 bids on this, £2.70 so far for Mary Poppins Returns.
Classic.
Brand new and sealed.
Hang on, in what world did you decide to buy Mary Poppins Returns? I mean, it's a good film, but I can't imagine you as a Mary Poppins person.
If I'm completely honest with you, I don't know how I got it either. My best guess is I bought it thinking I was going to give it to my mum for Christmas or something, forgot about it, and then left in a pile of DVD. There you go. 49 minutes left on that one, actually. We might still be on the call when that finishes. I'll let you know when that finishes. Right, 6 bids. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
You're not getting rid of that. Have you not seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Dude, honestly, we're going to come to blows. You've got to watch that. Actually, I know you're selling it. £4.24. That's insane that you have not seen that movie yet. You own it. Dude.
But I can watch it online.
I know you can. I know you can, but it worries me because you never will.
But I won't watch it if it's sealed anyway.
True.
So
fair enough. Anyway, go on.
No bids so far. No bids on Side Effects. Brand new and sealed.
It's because it's crap. Go on, next one.
7 bids. Call Me by Your Name.
How much is that going for at the minute?
£5.
That's a good film. Quick fun fact for that: the whole of that movie was shot on a 35mm Cook lens. Every shot in that movie is 35mm.
Single lens.
Yeah, single lens.
You go. That's the way to challenge yourself. One bit of kit, and you can't deviate from it. And then I've got no bids on these because they've only just gone up. Manchester by the Sea, brand new.
Good film.
Prometheus has gone up. I asked your advice.
Yeah, you asked me about that one. You can lend that. You can borrow that one.
Thanks. Lion. That's brand new and sealed.
Yeah.
Django Unchained.
Classic film.
Not a fan. Yeah.
You didn't like it? You didn't like it?
Nah. Boring. Found it boring. It's one of the few ones that's actually open.
Boring.
Yeah. Sorry.
Killing me.
And then the last one is Boyhood.
Boyhood. Yeah. Richard Linklater spent 12 years filming it. You spent 0 minutes watching it.
Yeah.
There you go, Richard. I hope you're listening. That was worth the effort, mate. 12 years of your life. Actually, it wasn't. I think it was longer than that. It was 12 years. And Adam said, nil point.
Also, sold. Once I get off this call, I'm going to the post office because I've got Moonlight going out. I've got Scott Pilgrim versus the World, The Martian, The Martian, The Revenant, Big Lebowski, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Birdman, La La Land, Life of Pi, The Lion King, the new one, and The Imposter.
Dude, so of that last little bunch, have you seen Birdman?
No.
Fair enough,
Nope.
it's on Netflix. Revenant?
No.
But man, jeez Louise. In fairness, I would say probably 98% of the films you said there I've got, so you can borrow them.
Thank you.
But still, I was saying to Adele yesterday because where I was getting the Wolfman out to watch it, and I said to her, I paused for a minute, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I went, "I know this sounds really weird, but I'm really proud of my Blu-ray collection." She was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, in I Am Legend, when Will Smith is the last man on earth and he has to go to the video shop to get movies, like I would never have to do that because I'd be confident enough that I have got enough movies in my stockpile to get me through the apocalypse until I die. It's a crowning achievement that anyone could come to my house and find a good movie to watch. I was really pleased with myself about that. But yeah.
I think once upon a time I wanted that, but I just can't deal with clutter. It just doesn't work with me, and I feel like and the fact I can watch all of these effortlessly online, just I don't see the point.
I know, but I don't trust that. Do you not worry about that? Like, what happens if like Netflix suddenly just stopped working? Or
no, sure. Well, like I'm proving on eBay, if I want to watch Moonlight, £4.44, I can go and buy a copy from somewhere and get it in the post. So, I know what you mean, but
yeah.
I don't think I need. I'm not as fast. I know I'll find a way to watch these things if I ever need to or want to.
Yeah, of course.
And the reason I would keep if I was going to keep anything, it would be for special features, which is what I texted you earlier about Prometheus. Are the special features any good? If they are, I'll probably keep it and watch that. Which sounds crazy, I know, but my collection now, and there's more to go. I've got a box over my shoulder of more of these to list. Once they've gone, my collection will really consist of things with epic making ofs, Lord of the Rings with 25 hours of making ofs, and Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park and Kingdom of Heaven. Anything that's got an extensive making of kind of element is what I'm interested in. The rest of it can go.
Be gone with you. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Well, I think obviously your viewing habits are way more casual than mine. Like I get cravings to watch films, so I'm like, I want to watch this film, and if it's not there, that sucks for me because I can't watch it. I have to watch that specific film, or whereas you're much more like, oh, I'll just watch the special features. I can do that. So yeah. So well, anyone wants to buy some classic films, Adam's on eBay, so get on there right now while you still can. Going cheap. Right, let's. We've eaten up most of the show, which is a nice segue into our movie for this week that I want to talk to you about. It's called Ravenous. Now, have you ever heard of Ravenous? No, you haven't, right?
I mean, not off the top of my head.
No.
I'm just Googling it because I suddenly recognise some aspect of it. No. That looks like... I've forgotten his name.
Guy Pearce? Robert Carlyle?
Rob Carlyle.
Yeah. So, Ravenous is the story of John Boyd. He is a captain in the US Army, and in an act of cowardice is once celebrated on a surface level, but then disgraced and sent away to this remote military outpost in California. In sort of, I don't know whereabouts in California, but it's in the mountains somewhere, and just way out of the way. It's very remote, and he's sent into the yeah, go on.
You know, you always give a little spoiler alert, and you say like, what we're going to say is going to spoil the film, so go watch it.
Yeah.
Can I spoil your intro?
Go on then.
Because I just googled it as you were talking. I love this movie poster. It's going to be a spoiler though. Sorry. Movie poster, Ravenous. You are who you eat.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go. There's the tagline. You are who you eat.
You are who you eat, and that's the general thing, because what happens is with Boyd's in this remote outpost with all these kind of losers and dropouts, and one day they get a surprise visit from a guy called Calhoun, and he begins to tell them the story of a party of people that he was with, and they got stranded in the mountains, and one by one they resorted to cannibalism, and things sort of take a bit of a swerve and go off the rails, and eventually the whole group are in one way or another involved in cannibalism and a game of cat and mouse and murder, and it's the whole thing's very chaotic. But the movie itself is probably one of the most underrated films of 1999. It lost out a lot of attention to what was essentially a great year for cinema. Directed in part by Antonia Bird, and she took over from a very troubled production with two other directors that had been either sacked or had left for various reasons. And so it's a little bit uneven. It's a very dark film. But it's also very funny. So it's this real mix of sadism and black humor, sort of gallows humor and things. But it's not a film that you'll likely forget in a hurry. Is maybe a way to put it. It's not ridiculously gross. I mean, obviously it's violent, but it's not ridiculously gross or anything like that. It's not one of those films that's violent for the sake of being ridiculously violent, but it is one of those films where you sort of watch it and you think, I've not seen a movie like this before. And
I like. I'm thinking about the other week when we were talking about trailers, kind of telling you what the movie's going to be, and doing a good or a bad job of that.
Yeah.
I'm in love with that tagline. You are who you eat.
Yeah.
They're just no holds barred. We're going to tell you exactly what you're in for here, and you've got some sense of what you know. There isn't a surprise now. We know what we're going in for.
That's it. Well, ironically, the advertising campaign for this was really bad because it depicted the film in a way that it wasn't, and so people went expecting it to be a movie that was of a particular ilk. Now, I haven't watched the trailers in a long time. And we won't do that now because we did that the other week with trailers, but it depicts it in a certain way, but it is much darker and much more philosophical than it maybe purports to be from its advertising. But yeah, the general sense of it is if you eat somebody, you gain their strength, their energy, their mana, as it were, and it sort of ties a lot of it into some sort of, some part of Native American beliefs, certain tribes of Native America and the Wendigo and all this sort of stuff is all kind of sewn into it. But it's one of those movies where it could quite easily have been mishandled and turned into a real sort of hokey B movie, but actually becomes a real quite an intricate musing on the nature of colonialism. To be honest, there are other readings. None of those are the readings I'm going to give it, but that's kind of where it's at. But the reason that I thought it was quite interesting from a business perspective is that the movie itself feels very much like where people are at right now. Everyone's kind of gone through everyone's sort of in the height of the, obviously, like a quote unquote winter, as it were, and everyone sort of feels a bit isolated and remote and dishevelled, and this camp is filled with archetypal behaviours. So you have the sort of fervent religious zealot who's not really good at anything else other than that. You've got the kind of waster stoner type of guy. There's the overly macho military man, the drunk doctor who just sleeps all day long. You've got the guy who's supposedly leading them all, but he's got no real backbone at all. He's just essentially a leader by name rather than anything else. And Boyd comes into this group of people, and obviously he's a coward. And so you've got all these archetypal people, and they're at their lowest ebb. Not a single one of them is prepared for the chaos that follows. And so when Calhoun turns up and what Calhoun brings with him, not a single one of those people is able to deal with it, but they are all supposed to be military men. They're all supposed to be highly trained, highly skilled, adept in their different areas. And this cannibalistic tidal wave of chaos just rides through them with little to no resilience at all. And so it's quite an interesting thing to look at and actually say, hey, look, where are we at now as businesses and organisations, and actually, are we prepared for the tidal wave that is returning to life again, the new normal, and things like that. And so some of those parts feature into it. But one of the questions that I had for you, Adam, is: have you ever felt woefully unprepared for something when it arrives, and what did that make you feel like?
This podcast. Yeah. Sorry, that was the obvious line.
Of course.
I think everything. I mean, that feels so familiar to me. I don't know if that's the right answer. You almost want me to say no, because what we're experiencing is new territory. But I guess I'm of that nature where I always feel underprepared. Even if I've done all the preparation, if I knew something was happening, I've invested time and planned, I still ultimately walk in feeling like I haven't done enough and I'm not ready enough. I think it's different when it's thrust upon you, isn't it? When you have some comprehension of what's happening, you can kind of mentally prepare yourself. When change happens and you're not expecting it, that's when instinct kicks in, and your instinct to survive, fight, run, whatever it might be. I know we've got some meetings coming up this week, and I wonder if you're deliberately or subconsciously referring to the fact that these are a year in the making, these meetings. Where in fact we've had 45 meetings as a run-up to this meeting, the meeting we've been waiting for. We didn't know it existed at the beginning. We knew we had a couple of meetings on a project, and we never knew that 45 meetings later, all of that was in build-up to the meeting that has caught both of us by surprise. I don't know if you're subconsciously referring to that we actually, if anything, are over-prepared to the point where we almost checked out a little bit. Do we need to prepare for this meeting? No, because we've done all this preparation for months and months and months, and that could end up being a mistake, actually. So we probably do have to just get our heads back in the game before we walk into it.
Good answer. Well done. You know, right answers. Tick. Good job. But yeah, no, it's true, because there's that sense sometimes where, like you say, you can feel over prepared to the point where you check out, or you can feel underprepared to the point where you're not really sure where to begin. And both of those can be very damaging in certain ways if you're not able to be agile, or you're not able to adapt and find a way through. But for me, one of the things that I feel like I'm seeing a lot of at the moment is feelings of preparedness, but it's not preparedness in the sense of it's not targeted. So in a weird way, like these characters, they wear their apparel, they've got the weapons, they've got the training, they call themselves military men, they all feel like they're particularly, ready for action at any given point. But then when that moment comes, none of them are prepared in the way they should be. None of them are alert. None of them are thinking. None of them are working as a unit or as a team. And so actually what ends up happening is they can be picked off one by one. And then ultimately, once you start to weaken a structure, the whole thing will collapse. And so there's almost sometimes there's that sense, that false sense of security that comes with, are you really thinking about what you need to be doing? Are you really thinking about how important the things that you've put in place actually are, or is it just facade for the sake of looking like you've done something? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. In our present situation, it's hard to actually prepare and plan, because I don't know what we're preparing for anymore. On the one hand, we're preparing for a return to normality, and what that's going to mean, and the work we'll have to do that we've been waiting to do. On the other hand, we're preparing for a new kind of normal. So how are things different? What's changed? Then, in the back of my mind, I'm preparing for a possible second spike in coronavirus. What's that going to mean? How do we be ready? Last time I wasn't ready. I remember way back in our first episode, I remarked about just getting bread and toilet paper was the kind of objectives for the week, because it was impossible to get either of those things. And a little part of me is like, should I be preparing for that? Because that feels like a possible reality we're going to face is some kind of secondary lockdown. So at the moment, it's actually a little bit hard to know what prepare for what. How do I can't prepare for all these eventualities, or maybe we can. Maybe we can have a little kind of a finger in each pie and be conscious of all the different outcomes and some kind of strategy almost. But I hadn't really thought about that until you've just brought it up. So thanks for making me panic again. I'm not prepared enough for all these different things.
You're welcome. I'm glad I can help you.
So how did this come about? Did you just watch Ravenous randomly on one of your kind of just going to randomly pick a film, or is there a reason you watched it?
Yeah, so what it was is I have a list of like movies and movies that I kind of feel like lend themselves to a topic, and I wanted to do a film by a female director, and so I had Ravenous on my list, and I also had a film called You Were Never Really Here, by Lynn Ramsey, and both those films for me fit into a category of not doing what people expect you to do and actually stepping outside preconceived notions and proving yourself to be something that you're not, or proving your worth in other ways. And then I started to watch Ravenous, and it just clicked with me. I was like, oh wow, actually, there's this whole thing here about preparedness, and I was trying to find an article the other day as well, and I happened upon this piece about a guy called Adrian Bayan, who is a professor of mechanical engineering at Duke University, and Professor Bayan has kind of got all these theories about like this, the stability of economics, and essentially kind of gives this comparable of saying that when you spill milk on a floor, that the physics behind what makes milk travel when it's spilled is actually very similar to the physics that drive economies, and talked about the sigmoid curve and the S curve and all this stuff, and essentially says that things go slow, then they speed up, and then they slow down again, and that's what milk does. It kind of comes out, moves a bit slow, goes in a straight line, and then it kind of splays out at the end. And I'm not doing any justice at all by talking about it, but essentially is saying that with a sigmoid curve is you have your low area, then you start to create fuel. So whether that fuel is literal, like fuel of food or petrol, whatever drives industry, or it might be lending of money or something like that, and that starts to drive industry and business, and so you get that ramp up and things start to feel great, and then inevitably they will peak and they'll start to fall again. But what happens is, they're saying, is that when you get to that peak of your sigmoid curve, what you need to be doing, so when your business is at its best, you have to start. This is where I had another article that was all around like the research that's gone into strategic mindsets, and how people with strategic mindsets are actually a lot more successful, because you're constantly evaluating what you're doing and its purpose and how useful it is and how it can be improved. And so you can, combining those two, when you get to the point, the kind of the apex of your S-curve of industry, you then have to innovate to create a new S-curve on top of it. Otherwise, what happens is you start to see a reduction. And so what there is this kind of business theory of, if you get to when business starts to take a downturn and then you try to think of things to do, it's too late. You're already on a losing battle. So you're going to struggle a lot more. So this idea of, if you're constantly evaluating what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it, you'll constantly innovate. So you'll always be at the apex of your sigmoid curve. So inevitably you're going to have upticks and downticks, but you won't suffer the same level of depression and loss and impact that you would if you were just following the natural curve of economy, which is a really long-winded roundabout way of saying, kind of, I guess with Ravenous and those two things and all that combined, is that idea of saying, I guess if you are thinking strategically about your business now, we're all seeing that it's too late to do a massive sudden turnaround. But what we do need to do is be mindful of going forward. How do we avoid this again? How do we get ourselves back in line, think strategically, improve our business, innovate, start to improve again, and then continue on that improvement by continually innovating, and not just riding that curve and going, oh, thank goodness coronavirus is off, it's in the background. Yeah, coronavirus might be gone for the time being, but there are 1,000 other things that face us in the future. So there's a lot there to maybe unpack or not, or make sense of. But those are kind of some of the things that drove my choice with Ravenous this week.
I just thought of a way we can connect this back to our other theme today of short form stories, which is that you actually, in pursuit of that innovation, you would do well perhaps to not be thinking in feature film terms, but be thinking in short story terms. Mm-hmm. What are the small steps we can take? It's all, lots of businesses have got a 5-year plan, 5-year strategy. And in fact, I've worked with some organizations, and, you know, respectfully, they would laugh at themselves as well. That a 5-year strategy that we make a video for every year, because it changed every single year.
Yeah.
And it was like, what's the point of the 5-year strategy? This isn't saying we're 1 year in, let's see where we're at. It's a whole new 5-year strategy every single year. So why don't you just call it a year strategy? And that's a bit more honest. And actually, there are a lot of organizations now that have been forced to probably abandon what were 5-year plans, 10-year plans, because the world has changed. And so they've got a new strategy. And actually, I don't know if it's the right approach. Probably far smarter people than me would say this isn't the way to do it. But I'd be thinking about, what's my short-term strategy? You know, let's not spend potentially huge sums of money developing, creating a strategy. You know, hundreds of hours of manpower, thought into devising some long-term 5-year strategy when we don't know what 3 months away looks like.
Yeah.
So I think there's something to be said for the short-term kind of strategy. Let's have goals, achievable goals that we can race towards. Maybe philosophically some long-term goals. That's all well and good, but it seems like things have changed in business now, where 5-year planning is a stretch. You know, maybe to have aspirations or objectives, but you shouldn't have a kind of a very rigid framework strategy, because you're just not responsive enough. If you've got that, you need to be able to adapt to anything the world's going to throw at us.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, you can sort of see that as well in some of the bigger franchise movies that we've seen. In fact, of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like that whole thing was a happy accident. Kevin Feige didn't sort of create Iron Man thinking, we're going to be in 10 years, we're going to be 20 films deep into a massive thing. It was like, that film was good, right, let's do a couple of other characters. So those ones have worked, so what we should do now is we'll do a team up movie. That worked, right, so now what we can do is we'll start to do, and then you start to plan bigger and bigger and bigger. But you've got to have your immediate plans. You're like you say, your 3 months, your 6 months, your year, your 5-year, whatever it is. You've got to have a series of strategies and plans moving forward, not just one big one that you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
Now look what happens, right? How many people have now looked at the Marvel Cinematic Universe and gone off and tried to create it and make a cinematic universe for ourselves?
Yeah.
And like you said, they've completely missed how that begun, the kind of inspiration, the bright spark. And doubtless there'll be folks that might say, but they knew they had all this rich content available. They probably did. They probably had that conversation of what we've got potential, but there was never an intent to develop a cinematic universe. Mm-hmm. There was a single movie of a single character that opened opportunities.
Yeah.
I think that's artistically, that's a better, safer, more rewarding way to go about it.
Yeah.
Probably financially safer as well. That kind of commitment. Let's make a movie and see where it takes us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Warner Brothers are the complete opposite. That Warner Brothers very much were like, okay, so we're gonna plan to do all of these things, and we're gonna do this, and this, and this, and this, and then they kind of pushed that, limped that dog over the finish line, and then everyone was like, wow, that was the biggest load of book we've ever seen. We've got all these crappy movies at the end of it. Or Universal, which we were talking about Wolfman earlier on, before they'd even released their Tom Cruise remake of The Mummy, had named their cast of their quote-unquote dark universe and all the different movies they were going to make. Johnny Depp was going to be the Invisible Man, or Javier Bardem was going to be Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was now, but you had all these different actors that they'd named, and then The Mummy tanked, and they were like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore, and then just scrapped the whole thing. So what was the point of all of that? It was stupid. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth considering that. So, very short assessment of Ravenous this week, but for me, it just felt like a nice sort of tie into that idea of being prepared and staying alert and constantly evaluating your surroundings, so that those Calhoun moments when they come into camp don't completely undo everything you worked for, and whether that's on a small level in terms of keeping your staff motivated, or on a wider corporate agenda level, it sort of scales accordingly.
It sounds like there's an element there of it's fine to have planned and prepared. So we've done the prepared part, but that doesn't stop. There isn't an end point to that. That should continue. You should be continually planning, continually preparing for the next thing, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and having that strategy to go forward and deal with those things as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And from your side, I mean, we were talking about film scores the other day, and obviously earlier on about you being musically inclined. The film score to this, man, is intoxicating. It's
really?
Damon Albarn of Gorillaz and Blur fame, working with Michael Nyman. The score is insane. It's so good. It's like you listen to that film score and you can tell exactly what this film's about. The movie's tone, it's everything about it. Even, I would argue, part of the character of this film is its score. So you should definitely look that up. And
okay.
And while we're quickly on scores, just today, obviously announced that Ennio Morricone, the legendary film composer, passed away at 92. And without sounding like too much of a punk, I think we might even, rather than have our sexy samba music close us out this week, I'm going to pick a piece of Morricone's work to play us out. Because have you got any requests? Actually, I'll let you pick.
But I'll trust you to surprise me with
pick something.
It'll probably be that. What else you would pick? You've got to pick, the most sort of
something people know. I mean, you got Once Upon a Time in the West. We could go with one of the Dollars trilogy. I mean, he even did Hateful Eight, which was a great score as well. There's so many great scores out there that he's done. And ironically, I imagine that he probably would have had an influence on Albarn and Nyman for the score of Ravenous, because although this isn't a Western, it's very much of that ilk and very moody, very tonally appropriate. So we'll close out with Morricone today. So
sounds good.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a score for Ravenous then? Should we get that on the board?
Yeah. So I wanna say it's a funny one with Ravenous, because I want to give it like a 4.5 or something. But I do feel watching it back that it's. By the way, I did catch Adam's bitchy comment there. I just chose not to respond to it. I'm quite inclined actually to give it a little bit lower, not because I feel like there's anything particularly wrong with it, but just because I feel like it is a film that plods a little bit. So I'm going to go with 3.5 for Ravenous, which is weird because it flies in the face of everything I said about it being a great film. But I do think that it's got some flaws, and those flaws are big enough that it stops it from being a great film. So I'm going to go with 3.5 for Ravenous.
Okay. Just putting it in the leaderboard right now, so it's just on the same as Truman Show, just below Fight Club, Contagion, Wall-E, Uncut Gems on 4.
Fantastic. And as a touchstone, if you like The Thing, the John Carpenter version, you'll like Ravenous. It's very much in the same vein. Cool, right, my man. Well, we've rambled for a while, and I'll let you go now. But don't forget, boys and girls, if you are listening and you do want to contribute to episode 12, please do send us a tweet or contact us at OnTrackInt. And use the hashtag #KeepingOnTrack, and by all means tell us a film that's had an impact on you for good or ill, or changed the way you live your life somehow. We'd love to hear it, and we'd love to talk about it. And you know what, if it's interesting enough, we may even invite you on the show to talk about it very briefly, but we'll see how that goes. So yes, thank you very much, Adam, as usual. Good luck with your eBay sales. Are we 40
Thank you.
minutes into that eBay bid yet, or is he still going?
Another 6 minutes, I'm afraid. So we're just going to miss
6
out on
minutes. There's a cliffhanger.
on the end of the Mary Poppins Return. Next time, next episode, Mary Poppins Returns, £2.70, 6 minutes to go. Join us next ep, and we'll let you know what it's sold for.
And if you can guess the amount, within 10p, Adam will sing Trip a Little Light Fantastic, which he has no idea what that is because he hasn't seen the film. Cool. Right, Adam, I love you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Take care.